So it's a victory Monday here on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, but you would never know that judging by how Eagles fans reacted to that victory yesterday going into today. That's why I love my city, and I love the passion of this fan base. So coming up here on the show, I'm Chase Sr. Thank you so much for joining us. Nick Sirianni's seat is hot, and Eagles fans want him fired. We're going to have a great conversation coming up around the corner, and naturally we pop up today's poll question. Let's hear from you, because here on this show you have a voice. Do you want Nick Sirianni fired by Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman? Type F for fired, K for keep. Sound off down in the comment section, and let's start today's show. And before we talk Nick Sirianni and his antics during the game yesterday against the Browns and after that ugly win against Cleveland, I want to say thank you to the Bird Gang for supporting the show. We had another watch party pop off yesterday with the tremendous audience, and yesterday we did surpass 87,000 subscribers. We're going to continue to build toward our goal of 100,000 subscribers. We're already the largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube, but once you get that silver plaque from YouTube, it really is an honor, especially from a guy who grew up in the Philadelphia area and has been rooting on this team since I can remember at 4 years old, and they're a big reason why I'm in the broadcasting space right now. We are 12,950 people away from 100K, so if you want Eagles shows every single day that are informative, insightful, thought-provoking, entertaining, that involves you, then hit that subscribe button right now. So the topic at hand on this Monday morning, on this beautiful and dandy October 14th of 2024, Nick Sirianni's seat is hot, and a lot of Eagles fans across America, across the world are fired up. They want him fired, and I listened to WIP this morning. I've been looking at my mentions both on X, on Instagram. I've peeked at the comment section here on YouTube. And Eagles fans are really growing tired of the antics from Nick Sirianni. And to get you caught up, in case you didn't watch the game yesterday, or you're not familiar with what's going on, or just as a refresher, yesterday at Lincoln Financial Field, with the Eagles coming off the bye week, Philadelphia beat the Browns. And it was a win which puts them above 500 at 3-2. And now Nick Sirianni is 4-0, coming off of bye weeks throughout his head coaching career. But it was another sloppy offensive performance from this Philadelphia Eagles football team because the Eagles offensively were sluggish through much of the game, and they still don't have any first quarter points this year. Only team in the NFL that's accomplished that dubious mark. There were chants of fire Nick and fire Sirianni raining down from Eagles fans at the Lincoln South Philadelphia yesterday afternoon. And then after the Eagles edged the Browns 20-16 in a game that came down to the wire and should have never been that close, Sirianni was seen taunting fans right around the area of the Eagles sideline and bench after that game became final and as the clock was ticking down. And then Sirianni, to kind of deflect the attention away from him and to kind of not face the noise, because he knew that probably he got a little bit too emotional, he brought his kids to the press conference, and so the media corps at the Link couldn't ask him about his sideline antics. They couldn't press him on his job status and why this football team, with all of this talent, continues to play mediocre football. And here's some of the images from after the game, during the game, before the game. Eagles are up 20-16. This is when Jalen Hurts is kneeling that ball game out, and you see Sirianni clearly engaging with Eagles fans, arms out wide. He said after the game he was just having fun, but he definitely let the chance of fire Nick get to him. And then as he's walking off the field, you know how Allen Iverson back in the day when he used to get the crowd fired up would put the hand to the ear like, yeah, give me that noise. I'm the answer. You're rooting on the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm the king of Philadelphia. Well, Sirianni, it's not like the fans were pumped up, right? This is Sirianni saying, yeah, you want to fire me? We just got that dub. Yeah, what are you going to say now? We're coming off the field after a victory. And oddly enough, the day got off to a weird start because Nick Sirianni decided to cut his beard and then just full-on shave his head. During some of his press conferences last week, he had a full head of hair and a big bushy beard. It looked as though he didn't leave the facility all throughout the bye week trying to get this Eagles team in line. And of course, classic social media, and I'm here for all of the social media humor. I don't think that comedy should have any restrictions. I saw this photo on X and I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Nick Sirianni, going a little bit crazy, he went full Britney Spears and decided to completely shave the head to divert attention because he's going through a weird phase. We're not sure. He said, I wanted to have my hair close to the length that it was during training camp, but he had a bigger beard and a lot more hair during training camp. So who the hell knows? Now, for context, with how Sirianni carried himself yesterday, his persona, his personality, his raw reactions in the aftermath of that game, Jalen Hurts and Brandon Graham both said this, and then Nick Sirianni also relayed the same message that two of the team captains, Hurts, Brandon Graham, and some other Eagles players told Nick Sirianni during the bye week, we need you to be your authentic self. We need the 2022 Nick Sirianni, who has a swagger, an edge, a unique personality. We don't want the 2023 Nick who sometimes let things spiral out of control and then closed up and clenched up and bottled up all of his emotions. And I think yesterday there was a fair point. You saw Brandon Graham prior to the game talking smack with the entire Cleveland Browns team as they went into their tunnel prior to the game. You saw Jalen Hurts displaying a lot of emotion. He went out of his way to have that long touchdown celebration with A.J. Brown. This is an Eagles team last year and this year that hasn't been having a lot of fun. So I think the point of those conversations, let's get back to playing football, having fun, because when we're loose, we're firing on all cylinders. That's when we're capable of being one of the top teams in the NFL. And the Philadelphia Eagles have some of the most talent in the National Football League. Look, as we know, Nick Sirianni is a very emotional guy in an emotional city, but as the head coach of a football team, you have to be measured, in control, an adult in the room, and mature. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay would never do this. Matt LaFleur would never do this. Bill Belichick, Andy Reid would never do this. So Nick Sirianni was a little bit out of pocket, and it's weird to see a head coach act in this manner. But this is what it comes down to, right? This is why Philadelphia Eagles fans are so mad and fed up with Nick Sirianni. Because the Eagles have played mediocre football with so much talent for a year now. And this city lives and breathes football. They know bad football when they see it. And the Eagles have been, for a long time, a sloppy, unprepared, not a well-coached football squad. And Eagles fans remember the ugly collapse of last year when the Eagles came off that Super Bowl, started 10-1, and then lost 6 of their 7 games. And some of the sloppy football that we saw last year has carried over into this year, and no adjustments have been made. Sirianni preaches, as a head coach, discipline and accountability. The Eagles aren't that, and he's an offensive mind, yet the offense is vanilla and predictable. We've been told that Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator, but it looks like Kellen Moore is running Sirianni's offense. Pre-snap motion still ranks in the bottom third of the league. That's a problem. The wide receiver route trees are not vast. They're the same. There's no creativity there. That's a problem. And in conclusion, when you're the head coach and your team is playing poorly and you're the CEO of this football organization, that is on you. And a 4-point win against one of the worst teams in the National Football League and the Cleveland Browns didn't ease any of those concerns. That's why Eagles fans are mad and fed up with Nick Sirianni. Now, coming up next, we're going to continue to set the record straight on Nick Sirianni. Some interesting data, some interesting statistics, a lot more thoughts. Don't go anywhere, and if you're a real one, you'll continue to hang out with us here on Eagles Now. But first, let's give a shout out to our friends at GameTime for making today's Eagles Now possible. GameTime specializes in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Prices drop as the event gets closer, and you're guaranteed to get in the door with the best seats while saving some coin. And I promise you, I've used GameTime so much, it's the only ticketing app that I use in a very crowded and competitive marketplace. I have tested the theory that the more that you wait until the start of the game or an event, the more that prices drop. And here's a great deal for the Bird Gang. You get $20 off. Terms apply, first purchase only if you download the app, create an account, and use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS. It is not just an app for Eagles games, although if you want to go to an Eagles game, home or away, plenty of tickets available, including some seats at MetLife Stadium this upcoming week in Week 7 for Eagles-Giants, a massive game with divisional and NFC implications. This is also, though, an app where you can get concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more as far as your tickets go. Football, concerts, more. Use GameTime. What time is it? Game time. Use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. So as the host of this show, as somebody who has grown up in the city of Philadelphia, who now covers the football team of Philadelphia, I know how the fans operate. I'm right there with you. I've forgotten more about the Eagles than a lot of people know about the Eagles. I'm just saying. And here on this show, I have defended Nick Sirianni a lot. A reason why I defend him? Look, he is 37-19 as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. This is his 4th year as the head man of this football team. They've made it to the playoffs every single year that he has been the head coach. He has a 66% winning percentage. That is 15th in NFL history among 201 qualifying head coaches. And his current active winning streak or winning percentage is the 2nd highest among active coaches. That's pretty damn impressive right there. When you're in the NFL, a league of parity, where teams go from cellar dwellers to winning divisions year over year, when there is so many changes that take place across the entire National Football League, and given how competitive the landscape is, when you're winning 66% of your games, that is legitimate. Winning in the NFL is hard. Sirianni has won, and he's won big. And I know a lot of people will say he just wins because of the talent. That's partially the reason why he's won 66% of his games as the head coach of the Eagles, but coaching and culture matter. And those are two things that Sirianni has done well throughout his Eagles stint. In 2021, the Eagles got off to a really slow start in year 1. People were calling for him to be fired then. You had the bad press conference. You had the Eagles get off to a slow start. People thought that he was in over his skis. The Eagles then go from a pass-happy team to a run-happy team. He surrenders play-calling duties. He hands those over to Shane Steichen. They change their team identity. They make adjustments, which is what good coaches do, and they finish 9-8. They played hot football down the stretch. Year 2, the Eagles get the number 1 seed in the NFC, home field advantage. They go 14-3, and they make it to the Super Bowl. They should have won that game. And if Sirianni is a Super Bowl winner, we're thinking about him in a different light. Year 3, started 10-1, and then you collapsed at the end of the year, but still went 11-6. And here Philadelphia is at 3-2 right now, and hopefully this Browns game can serve as a launching pad. And if the Eagles can get it together and play clean football and smart football, they can be one of the top teams in the National Football League. But a reason why they're not is partially because of Nick Sirianni, and that's why the fans are very frustrated right now. But Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman do run one of the best organizations in the sport. After the collapse last year, they thought and mulled over the future of Sirianni, and they made the decision to bring him back because they are a believer in him. And when you talk to NFL agents, other executives, other coaches, players, the Eagles are looked at as one of the preeminent top organizations in the entire NFL. So I have put my trust in Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman to make the right decisions. I know Philadelphia only has 1 Super Bowl in franchise history. That's not solely a Lurie and Roseman issue, but I'll tell you this, since Lurie became owner, the Eagles have been one of the most successful organizations in the sport since 2000. They have been to 7 NFC championship games and 3 Super Bowls. And Howie Roseman is one of the top general managers in the sport. They wanted Nick Sirianni back. But if the Eagles do skid and they don't play good ball the rest of the way, Nick Sirianni's not going to be the head coach in 2025 because this Eagles roster is way too talented to not reach their ceiling, to not reach their expectations, and to not become the team that they're capable of being. And while I've defended Nick Sirianni, I'll also say this because I'm one of the most open-minded people that you will ever meet. I will always hear both sides of an argument. I might disagree with you, but that's okay. Not enough people think in that manner in today's society for a plethora of reasons. Nick Sirianni has to grow up and be better. There is no doubt about that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jeffrey Lurie, seeing him talk shit with Eagles fans and taunt them, has a conversation with his head coach about his antics, not just on the sideline and coming off the field, but bringing his kids to the press conference. And I have no problem with the coach bringing their kids to the press conference. Coaches have done that before. Players have done that before with their kids. But it seemed intentional that Sirianni did that to deflect any type of blame, to not have the conversation about his job status and another confusing and confounding Eagles performance in which a game came down to the wire that the Browns had no business of winning, yet it was there for the taking. It seemed as though Nick Sirianni brought his kids there so that he wasn't asked particular questions by the media corps there. And I know the media is fired up because they felt as though they couldn't fully do their jobs because they couldn't press him on the matters they wanted to press him on because his kids were right there. I know that he went on the explanation about how I preach to the team, what I preach to my family. All that is good and all, right? But there is a time and a place for that. If you beat the Browns 30-16 and your offense was humming and your special teams unit didn't give up a 50-yard blocked field goal for a touchdown, which turned the tides of the ball game and gave a dead team life, then you could bring out your kids. Not after a performance like that, especially when your team has played poor football for a long while now. You are coaching in Philadelphia. You know the temperature. You know the environment of this city. You go on WIP every single week. You take questions from all of these media members. You know how the fan base operates. You were at Phillies games during the NLDS against the New York Mets. You've been to Philadelphia sporting events. You have said, I love our fan base. They travel. They're passionate. They're blue-collared. They care about the football team. You also know that when things spiral out of control, they point to the head coach, and after all, that is your job. And they know good football when they see it, and they know bad football when they see it. And you have said, I take accountability for us playing poor football. Look, you just can't act and react in an emotional way like that. And you can't let the booze get to you because now, what are Eagles fans saying today to themselves out loud on the radio in the comment section here on Eagles Now? They know that you're sensitive. And they know that they are picking at a scab right now and the wound is opening. And if the Eagles continue to play porous football, they are going to be relentless because they're going to want your ass out of there because they want a coach who's going to come in here, maximize the talent, have this team in order so that they can live up to expectations because we're starving for another damn Lombardi trophy and we want another parade coming down Broad Street because I know this, when I was there back in 2017, 2018 calendar year, it was electric. The night the Eagles won the Super Bowl against the Patriots and dethroned Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, it was one of the greatest nights of my life. I was crying happy tears when we're at the parade. We're chucking beers to the float to all of the Eagles players that are on that float. The Jason Kelsey speech in the Mummers gear, it was legendary. We saw people taking pisses everywhere by the art museum. I saw grandpa rolling a blazy in front of his grandson. We want that type of debauchery again, and we want this football team to win and win big. And right now the Eagles are not doing that. So what fans are frustrated by, this is a football problem. And the offense and the quarterback who you paid $250 million to have regressed under your watch, and you're supposed to be the offensive head coach. The Eagles are winning games a lot because of talent. They're not playing harmonious, in sync, well-organized football. And when you are the CEO head coach and you're not calling plays offensively or defensively, it's on you to steer the ship, get it right. And when you're calling that play instead of Kellen Moore at the end of the first half, or you're calling a play that didn't work over Vic Fangio, that's not a good look either. Let them do their jobs and let them breathe. They're accomplished for a reason. You brought them in for a reason. Right now, it is ugly and chaotic for Sirianni, the Eagles organization, and Eagles fans. But you know how everything can get solved? You know how everything can get solved? You go out there next week against the New York Giants, and you pummel the New York Giants, who right now are down and out. They scored 7 points against the Bengals, one of the worst defenses in the National Football League on Sunday Night Football. You win convincingly, and you will get fans back on your side. You win big and consistently the rest of the way, and you get some of these issues ironed out, the fans will be back on your side. But right now, that is not the case, and it's partially because of your actions. Do you want Nick Sirianni fired? We pop up the poll question once again. F for fired, K for keep. I'm fired up. I don't want Sirianni fired. It's great to have head coaching stability, but he has to do a better job.